Hey, what's up, guys? What's up? Dr. Jaws here, and tonight we are covering the tropical sawshark, Pristiophorus delicatus. So this is gonna be really cool. It's been a while since we've covered a sawshark, and these are a really cool group of animals where they have a unique adaptation. Let me see if I can zoom. There we go. That's better. Sorry, just want to show off some really cool artwork by Howard Kerr. They have a really cool adaptation in the sense that their rostral cartilage is highly modified so that it has teeth. Or there's teeth on the rostral cartilage, which they use as like this big baseball bat. They slam into prey and whack prey with the rostral cartilage, and subdue prey items like that. Knock the fish, usually fish, maybe squid, knock them out, and then scoop them up later. So pretty interesting adaptation. And I'm excited to review just saw sharks in general because it's such a cool group of animals. And I'm pleasantly surprised to see that they're doing well compared to a lot of other shark species. This one in particular, the tropical saw shark, is actually least concerned as far as the IUCN Red List goes. So it's such a big contrast from sawfish, which are kind of rare. Sawfish tend to be critically endangered, so it's really cool to see that saw sharks are faring much better than that. So, but shout out to Howard Kerr for providing this really cool piece of art. Let me see if I can. There we go. Sorry about the positioning. Trying to make sure that you can see the attention to detail of the cartilage. I really love that he got a great grasp of he had a great grasp of the chondrocranium, where you can kind of see just like the proportion of the eyes with the rest of the head. Relative to the gill slits, the pectoral fins, the nasal barbels, which are actually really cool. They're elongated, and the elongated barbel is very characteristic of saw sharks, as well as the multiple gill slits. So these kinds of saw sharks, they are actually part of the 6 gill or 7 gill, or no, sorry, 6 gill saw shark group. I just think this is a really cool piece. So thank you so much, Howard Kerr, for submitting this piece. It looks really great. And hey, Bibia, welcome back. Greetings from the Netherlands. Bibia likes. Oh, thank you. Awesome. So hope you had a good weekend. It's kind of funny. We went to see. I've never really done this before, but we went to Washington D.C. to see the cherry blossoms. That's a really big thing. Every spring, and the story of the cherry blossoms is I believe it was Japan who offered them as a gift to the United States. They were planted around the tidal basin, kind of near the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial and the Jefferson Memorial, and they bloom every year. I never really went. Button smash, thank you. I never really went before because I didn't really understand the appeal, to be honest, which is really terrible of me to say. But my fiance was really interested in it, and we went, and it was beautiful. It's like this beautiful. It's like I didn't realize like how all the trees are lined up, and it's like this really enchanting kind of view of just like white treetops everywhere. And so it was a really nice weekend. But hope you had a good weekend too. Hope you did something fun. The weather's starting to warm up here, which is good. As far as marine life goes, we have herring coming back. And I know, Bibia, we've talked about herring specifically before. Sorry, I have music on in the background and I've got like stupid ad. But we've talked about herring before. Right now in the Chesapeake Bay region. Hey, Howard, welcome back. Good evening to you too. Thank you again. I was singing your praises about the art. This looks really cool. I especially love the attention to detail with the head, the chondrocranium. The proportion of the eyes with the rostral cartilage, it looks really cool. So I was telling Bibia about in the Chesapeake Bay, herring are back. We have quite a few species, actually more. I was reading up on it lately, and we have quite a lot more than I originally realized. We have alewife, menhaden, river herring like hickory shad, gizzard shad, blueback herring. What else do we have? But it's really cool. It's they're the classic species that migrate from saltwater to freshwater to spawn. And in the Chesapeake Bay, in Virginia in particular, March and April, it's a really exciting time of year where people, like, I would say fishermen, recreational fishermen, they get really excited about the herring coming back. They have like festivals and parties, kind of lining up the rivers for them to come back. But it's a really cool sign of the change of seasons. Shark wise, we still have pike dogfish, and we have dusky smoothhounds probably kind of entering the bay too. So it's really exciting. The seasons are starting to change. But yeah, Howard, this looks really, really cool. Thank you again so much for submitting this. I really love the positioning of just like the shark kind of being center and frame, the attention to detail on the head. I love how you capture like that almost nearly translucent look for the pectoral and pelvic fins. And then the rostral cartilage is super cool, so very toothy like all saw sharks. So it's really cool to see, and it's cool to see flame snapper and the Australian blacktip shark. No, Australian weasel shark. Sorry, I have this zoomed out. Australian weasel shark in the background. It's a cool homage right there. So is the Queensland deepwater skate. So really great collection of Australian wildlife here. So thank you so much for submitting this. This looks really, really cool. And yeah, just it's awesome. So let's check out some other kinds of saw sharks, just to kind of get an idea of how saw sharks move. I don't think we have footage of the tropical sawshark, but we have mostly Japanese sawshark clips, but they are the same genus, Pristiophorus. So this might help us kind of have a better understanding of how this group works. So right now this is footage from wild footage. Most of the clips are captive specimens, but it's kind of cool to see wild footage of a Japanese saw shark. And to see these kinds of sharks moving in the wild, this is really, for me, who, I'm an Atlantic person, and we do have saw sharks in the tropical Atlantic, but it's so interesting and so strange to see like a shark like this with such a unique shape, with the unique rostral cartilage, and such an extreme look. It almost looks like one of those prehistoric fossil sharks. And this is great shots right here too. It's so cool to see how these animals move and to see how they behave in life. So specifically, this is actually great. So in this clip, you can see a Japanese saw shark. He was swimming in mid-water column, and then he settled on the seabed and did a little bit of buccal pumping. But there was a really cool shot. It's kind of subtle. You can see how the barbels are wiggling. Look at that. Let me slow that down so you can get a better look. I imagine those are probably trying to detect prey items. Like, there's something about the barbels that maybe enhances that ability to detect prey. Maybe checking for vibration. So see how it's like wiggling that barbel back and forth, and you're going to see the other one pop up in a little bit. I slowed it down to quarter speed to better see that. So there we go. So I think the fact that you can see this shark using its barbels pretty like wriggling them pretty intentionally, I feel like these have to be somewhat instrumental as far as maybe detecting prey items in the sand, because it's interesting that the shark was doing this only when he was like sitting on the seabed. So we'll rewind one more time. Super slow speed. Also a great chance to appreciate just some of the features. Huge eyes relative to the head. Like it's a pretty compressed head shape. And it's kind of interesting to see that the mouth is like so underslung, with and also pretty dorsoventrally compressed as well. So it's a very flattened looking shark. So it suggests that it probably does spend a lot of time on the seabed. Very large spiracles that are kind of dorsally positioned. So this, I imagine, maybe helps with buccal pumping as it's sitting on the seafloor. I feel like most open water, like pelagic sharks that swim through the midwater column, they have kind of smaller spiracles. So that sharks that like to sit on the seabed, kind of like angel sharks, they have like larger spiracles. So could be wrong, but I feel like that's something that I've noticed, just as kind of like a general trend. But yeah, super cool animal. Really unique body shape too. I love that. There's kind of like these these rigid, kind of like on the belly. The belly's kind of squared off. When he swims upward, I could show you kind of better what I mean. Yeah, it's kind of like a rigid shape, which is pretty interesting. It's almost kind of like a swim. If you did a cross section, it almost looks like kind of like a rhombus or like a trapezoid. So, kind of cool to see that. It reminds me a little bit of the rough sharks. Rough sharks have like that pyramidal cross section shape. So, Bibia, just saw your comment. Fresh herring is dangerously delicious and addictive. I can relate to fish who likes to eat fresh herring, but I'd rather eat them gutted and cleaned up, but each their own. P.S. Beautiful film. That's interesting, spiracles. Yes. Thank you. Thank you both. Both really great comments. For herring that are migrating in the spring, it's really cool to see like a marine equivalent of the seasons. Because terrestrially, spring we associate with like bird migration. We associate with the flowering plants, insects coming out. But I really love seeing a marine equivalent where herring are coming back into the bay. So that's a really cool migration thing for the Chesapeake Bay, Mid-Atlantic region. And then Howard, yes, and thank you for that comment, kind of affirming that it is interesting the spiracles and how their size may be directly related to habitat use among sharks. Because when I think about it, I mean, like great whites have very small spiracles. Dogfish, which kind of can chill on the seabed and be in the mid-water column, they kind of have like mid-sized spiracles. And then angel sharks have pretty large ones. Wobegons, which also chill on the water column on the seabed. Or sorry, not in the water column, on the seabed, have pretty large spiracles as well. So, yeah. Let's play this. I think there might be something to it, which is kind of interesting. But let's play this one more time at full speed so we can fully appreciate how the shark moves in life. So a very active swimmer. It's kind of cool. Like I would say the body plan of the shark is kind of the best of both worlds where you have two very large dorsal fins and kind of like a narrow caudal fin. And he seems to be swimming pretty effortlessly in the middle of the water column, but then also the body plan is very flush with the seabed. So pretty good for hiding, whether that is maybe hiding from prey items or maybe ambushing. Hiding from predators or ambushing prey items. I really like how bulging the eyes are, which may aid in just kind of like having a larger scope of vision. Again, both for either hunting or maybe predator avoidance. So, because these are a little bit on the smaller side as far as sharks go. So, and it's just so cool when you think of hydrodynamics. It's so cool to think about how does the saw, like the rostrum, factor into it. Because it's this beautiful blade pointing into the water. So you have to wonder like how that actually factors into the area of the fins. And actually, on that note, let's think about it for a second. Hammerhead sharks have like the wide head, and in compensation for that, their pectoral fins are very small. Now, if you are a shark with a very long, pointed snout, let's see if we can see anything that helps us see kind of where that hydrodynamic equation kind of ends up with, or kind of comes out to. So you have a very long pointed snout. This shark has two large dorsal fins of equal size, but a lot of sharks do have that. Lemon sharks have two large dorsal fins. The smoothhounds have two large dorsal fins, so it's not necessarily related to the cartilage. The one thing I do notice is that the caudal fin is very underdeveloped. So I wonder if that might be related, like an underdeveloped caudal fin, but a very long rostrum. I'm not really sure. But hammerheads, it's really cool to see that their body plan is directly, like their fin size is directly affected by their head shape. And I'm kind of curious the relationship between the rostral cartilage of saw sharks and the fin shape or the fin size of their different fins. Also, what's kind of related to that, this order, Pristiophorus, is a group of sharks that do not have an anal fin. So this is actually a group that is more closely related to like dogfish than they are to like more quote unquote modern sharks or higher sharks, if you will, like the lamniforms and the carcharodontiforms. So pretty interesting stuff. So Interesting. Spiracles perhaps used to expel stand, ingested when eating from the bottom or being near the bottom of the sea. That's a really good guess, Bibia. You might be right, actually. That's a really, really good guess, especially since the other sharks, like the angel sharks and the wobegons, more so the angel sharks, they do spend a lot of time on the sandy seabed. So that's an excellent, excellent hypothesis. So the Japanese saw shark is pretty popular in aquaria. So these are, I think the next few clips are aquarium settings. So here's one, beautiful eyes on this individual. Just chilling out on the seabed. It's kind of cool to see that the barbels, like when the shark is in this elevated position where the rostrum is up at kind of like a 40-degree angle. This individual too, who may also be in a tank, kind of a similar thing. It's kind of cool to see that the barbels are oriented kind of vertically downwards. When the shark is swimming or sitting on the seabed, kind of flush with the seabed, the barbels kind of splay out. But when the shark has its rostrum up, the barbels are kind of like poised on the bottom, which is kind of interesting to see. And I'm not sure if this is a comfortable resting position for the shark, or if this is maybe more related to kind of like, it's like a posture that maximizes the ability to swat at any passing prey item, potentially. So let me know in the comments what you think, why the saw shark at rest has its snout held up high. My guess is that it's trying to be in a conservative like strike position, so kind of like, with this being its resting state, might be easier to swat at passing prey items as it's chilling on the seabed. That's kind of my guess as for what that might be going on there. This is really cool. Another aquarium individual swimming with the rostrum pointed up. Let's see. It was kind of funny. I don't know if you saw that glimpse. I was watching like an Adam West Batman interview earlier. So, and I'm actually wearing the Batman shirt right here too. So, big Batman fan. If I think you guys probably know that, but I was just kind of catching up. But here we go. We're catching up on just like I just like watching older interviews. This is a really interesting aquarium, and actually this is a pretty interesting interaction. This is a Japanese saw shark chilling on the seabed, same position as we've seen before, with the rostral cartilage up. But it's kind of cool to see that there is a cat shark that swims by, and the saw shark adjusts its position when the cat shark does pass by. There we go. There's the cat shark. And the saw shark kind of, it almost is like the saw shark is yielding to it or making room for it. So let's see that one more time, slow down. This really excites me just because in aquarium settings, if it's a public aquarium, what's kind of cool is that you can observe shark behavior that might be hard to detect in the wild. So specifically yielding is an interesting behavior. So here's the cat shark swimming, almost maybe about to bump into the rostral cartilage. The saw shark moves its cartilage away from its snout, away from the cat shark. Doesn't act aggressively, doesn't really do anything with the cat shark. It just adjusts itself away from it as the cat shark is swimming by. And that's pretty interesting. There's a lot of cool studies of sharks of different species, how they get along in aquariums. There's one that I do reference a couple times. I've referenced a couple times on the stream before, but there's a really cool one where bull sharks, for whatever reason, they tend to dominate like the yielding hierarchy in the tank, meaning that if two sharks of different species are swimming towards each other and they're kind of on a collision course, it like kind of like playing a game of chicken. One of them is going to yield, and every shark in a tank with a bull shark will yield to a bull shark, which is kind of interesting. I'm not sure why that is, and it's kind of funny that it feeds into the image or the narrative of a bull shark being like the aggressive aggro shark species. And I'm sure that's not exactly what's going on in that interaction, but it is interesting. Like sand tiger sharks and sandbar sharks, they will take turns kind of yielding to each other. But then sand tiger sharks and bull sharks, the sand tigers always yield. Sandbar sharks and bull sharks, the sandbar sharks always yield. For some reason, if a bull shark is on a collision course with another species, the other species yields. So, and what might be going on there is it perhaps maybe that bull sharks, they do in the wild predate on other shark species, so that could be a factor in that, but not 100% sure. Howard, this is a great guess, by the way. Warning the cat shark. That may be. Sharks do and have been known to exaggerate their positioning as a demonstration of warning. So the saw shark is raising its head, maybe akin to like a snake at rest, raising its head and kind of cocking its head back to get in strike position. So that's a really great observation, Howard. That might be what the saw shark is doing. Like, it could be agitated by the cat shark, and it could maybe be gearing itself up to swat at it and whack at it if the cat shark gets too close for comfort. So that's a really good guess, and actually I think that's just as valid as what I was saying earlier. So I'm going to star that because I think it's a really excellent guess. So Bibia, hammerhead shark has big fins, I thought, but P. delicatus does use its barbels for feeding, tasting like chemical receptors, or for walking like stilts. So the two questions. So hammerhead sharks, they have huge dorsal fins. So hammerhead sharks have very, very large dorsal fins to kind of stabilize their body, but their pectoral fins are very small. For sharks that are also in the same order, that don't have hammerheads, so like carcharodontiform sharks with a similar body plan, their pectoral fins are kind of large, and their pectoral fins tend to be larger than the dorsal fins, or the same size as the dorsal fins. In hammerheads, and actually, let me pull this up just to kind of show as an example. So let's try to think of a good example, like a generic. Let's do blacktip shark, Carcharodontis lombatus. That's a good generic one. And I want the classic blacktip shark. Okay, there we go. That's a good photo. Man, I don't know what it is about this. There we go. I gotta get a new update for this eCam because I think they somehow made it worse, which is sad because I actually really like eCam, but it's kind of screwing up my display. So there's a blacktip shark. Let's do Sphaena lumini. The classic scalped hammerhead. See if I could find a photo that will show, maybe that. Maybe that. That might work, actually. Okay. So it's kind of cool. So blacktip shark, this is actually a pretty good photo showing the proportion of the fins of blacktip shark. So blacktip sharks have like a normal head, a classic sharp head, a classic pointed shark head, and then you have fairly large pectoral fins, pretty equally sized, maybe slightly smaller dorsal fin, and then pretty equally proportioned anal fin, pelvic fin, second dorsal fin, and caudal fin, right? When you compare it to a hammerhead, the hammerhead has a proportionally much larger dorsal fin. So this is what I mean, or this is what is meant when I say or people say that hammerheads have larger dorsal fins. It's this fin in particular, but this is also what I mean when their pectoral fins are smaller. And what's kind of cool is that the hammerhead has the cephalofoil, which is a much larger surface area, creating additional lift for the shark. So this shark doesn't need large pectoral fins to generate the same amount of lift. Blacktip sharks, they need large pectoral fins because they don't have the hammerhead shape. So their pointed snout is going through the water, but their fins help lift them up, kind of like an airplane. But the hammerhead shark, because it has like the cephalofoil right here, it kind of works like biplane, I guess, kind of like the old World War II, World War One planes, where it's kind of that square shape. That like the wings are right at the front of the plane. Like this is kind of like the modern airliner, where the wings are in the middle of the plane, and then this is like the old World War II, World War One. I guess that's World War One, like the Red Baron planes, where like the wings are at the front. Where it's the cephalofoil is generating a lot of lift, and so the pectoral fins in the back, they don't need to be as large. They can actually, the sum of the pectoral fins and the cephalofoil here is probably generating as much lift as the single fin right here for the blacktip shark. So it's really cool to see that like the hydrodynamic like math on shark bodies and shark bills and how they like how they are enable a shark to swim as fast or as slowly as they do. It's so interesting and it's super cool, and all the proportions work really well with this. With the hammerhead, because it's getting lift from the cephalofoil and the pectoral fins, it needs a very large dorsal fin to kind of help stabilize it. Whereas the blacktip shark, because it's a little bit more balanced and like the head is more like pointed, it doesn't need as large of a dorsal fin. It's still a pretty big dorsal fin, but it doesn't need as large of a dorsal fin to kind of help keep it like on an even tilt, if you will, or even keel. So I hope that makes sense, but that it's really cool to compare the two species as far as like hydrodynamics go, and additionally, it's really cool to compare that with a saw shark, because you have to ask those same questions. Like, okay, so you've got a very long, flat rostrum right here, and then these two equally sized dorsal fins, fairly sized pectoral fin, modestly sized pectoral fin, and then small caudal fin. Like how does that equation work? So it's super, super interesting to see that. So, hey, Mingus, welcome back. Welcome back. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Never thought about their long cephalofoil aiding with flips. That's so cool. Yes, it's super, super cool. Like the hydrodynamic Howard, and yet the hammerhead is more evolved. Yes, like it's so cool. Let's see. Yeah, but you don't want to lift at the front. It does not help with aerodynamics. It costs energy to have a hammerhead. I was told by Clint Reptiles. It's something. So what's interesting is that it does help with lift because it does reduce drag. Because like the cephalofoil, when it does hit the water column, it does do that drag thing where it's like if you have that forward-facing object going through the water column, you are displacing water at different. Kind of like an airplane wing, you are displacing water, I think, beneath the cephalofoil at a quicker pace than above it. So it does help. But the other thing that's interesting about hammerheads, too, is that the size of the cephalofoil enables really sharp turns for the shark to corner prey very quickly. So the shape could be... It may not be perfect. So to Clint Reptile's point, it may not be perfect because, like... maybe a perfect hammerhead, maybe a bit more sharper looking. But part of it maybe not being perfect for lift is the fact that the hammerhead is also used as kind of like a literal like weight to turn on a dime to corner prey items. So it might be this weird, like all of nature has to do this kind of equation of like of trade-offs, right? Where it's like something may have, it's like you may have a really large body, but like a dinosaur, but you have to, be a very effective hunter and have a constant supply of prey items in order to keep that body up. And so, the trade-off is like you may be the biggest, baddest animal around, but you need a constant food supply, and if you don't have it, you're going to die. Whereas like a smaller body, you may not be the most intimidating, animal there, but you can scurry and burrow, and you could survive the K2 meteor. so I don't know if it makes sense, but like all of nature is trade-offs. Like I'm trying to think of like a good human equivalent, because like for us, we devote like our body plan devotes far more energy to our brains. Like our brain size is so much larger than like other primates. But, the trade-off is, like, we don't have, like, as much muscle mass. Like, pound for pound, chimpanzees are insane. Like chimpanzees can kill us. Like they're so much more muscular and so much more powerful than we are, but we have the bigger brain. So it's kind of like all of nature is about trade-offs. So long story short, maybe the hammerhead may not be perfect as far as like it may not be cutting drag perfectly, but the trade-off being it might be trying to max out a good or it might be trying to find that right balance between reducing drag, generating lift, and then also being able to turn on a dime. So, Homo florensis, yeah. Actually, yeah. Let me look that. Is that a new hominid? I'm not familiar with that one. Homo florensis. Let's see. The Hobbit. Yeah. Is an extinct species of small archaic humans that inhabit the island of Flores, Indonesia, the arrival of modern humans. Interesting. Very interesting. I forgot. Okay, so I have heard of this. Interesting. So, let me catch up on the comments. Here we go. Glad to be able to watch again. College life has been way too busy, but it's always nice to relax. Oh, thank you, Minjis. The Dr. Jaws versus Clint reptiles beef. No, I have nothing against anybody. Like as far as reptiles are awesome, and actually, you know what's really funny? If I didn't do sharks, I think reptiles would be my second. I kind of have like a funny. Let me know what you guys. I'm actually really curious. Like, what are your animal rankings? Like your top 3 animals, or animal groups? Because for me, I would say, I'm actually going to do this right now. I'm gonna do, and it could be any group. It doesn't matter what class or order or whatever it is. But for me, if I wasn't doing sharks, I probably would do either just generic fish or reptiles for sure. So I'm just gonna do sharks, other fishes, ediacaran animals. That's a great one, Bibia. That is all. I'm gonna star that. That's a great pick. Sharks, other fishes, reptiles. All right, so mine would be sharks, other fishes, reptiles. Because I do love specifically snakes and crocodilians. I do think they're really really cool. And I like lizards. Lizards are cool. Turtles are pretty interesting too, especially the sea turtles and the estuarine turtles. They're really cool, but. Yeah, Dr. Scales, Dr. Vertebrate. Oh, Howard, Komodo dragons, Mustelidae sharks. That is super cool. So, Mustelidae, weasels, like otters, weasels, ferrets. Those are all fantastic picks. Dr. Scales, Dr. Vertebrate. That's fantastic. Do you know? It'd be really cool. A funny thing is if somebody was like studying I guess any kind of carnivore, like mammalian carnivores, you could do Dr. Claws. So Dr. Jaws and Dr. Claws, so that might be kind of fun. Dr. Claws is free. So let's see. Making sure I catch up on the Wolverines, yes. So Wolverines are super cool. Oh, hey! Firstly, Wolverines are super cool. I love that. There's no other animal really quite like Wolverines, where it's like they're mid-size, but they go after prey so much larger than them. They're super tenacious and super tough. And actually, are Wolverines? Open question: are Wolverines and mongoose, are they related, or are they 2 different branches? And also Minj's thylacines, really great pick. Bugs and dinosaurs, fantastic. Bugs are really cool. It's kind of like bugs are really cool because there's such a beautiful myriad of insects, and so much incredible diversity. It's like bugs is not something I get, but it's something I 100% respect. Like bugs is something where it's insects. Is it entomology? I always get it confused because there's etymology, which is words, and entomology, which is insects. I think they always get confused. But it's like, for me personally, I don't connect with bugs, but I respect people who do study and love bugs, because it is super super cool. Just like how, like, there's thousands and thousands of species, and it's amazing to see how they each adapt to their own little part of the world. And like it's such a fascinating world. So much respect to that. That's super cool. Also, dinosaurs, 100%. I used to be really big into dinosaurs when I was younger, and I kind of fell away from it. I think when they were discovering like the feathers and stuff. I don't know what it is. I think I started to kind of like fall away from it a little bit, and then now I'm slowly coming back. I saw a really cool special on flying dinosaurs. So a couple new species, I think discovered in China, like on construction sites. So like oh Howard, Bibia edicarian. Yeah, that like so Ediacaran. Or is it Ediacaran or Edicarian? Ancient life like that. That is like super awesome. Like that is just like super super cool. That's like I'm trying to find the right phrase for that, where it's like it's just awesome. It's just prehistoric life of any kind is super super cool. So dinosaurs discovered in China are sick, yes. And then I love this comment, Minjas. I can't even put into words how awesome big insect bug diversity is. Howard, I collected insects when I was young. Awesome. What's kind of funny is I grew up like many '90s kids, huge Pokemon fan, and Pokemon was inspired. The creator of Pokemon also collected insects, and that was actually the big inspiration for Pokemon. Like putting animals in these like jars. Like he kind of had the whole concept of putting the Pokemon in the balls. It's really like it's kind of cool to see how things connected, and that hobby turned into like one of the biggest media franchises in the world, and also one of the most entertaining. Like world peace through Pokemon. Honestly, like what's kind of funny is like Pokemon. I'm going down a tangent, but like Pokemon like unites generations and cultures, because I used to I did right after college. I did like a what did I work at? I was working at the Maritime, or no, the I had a part-time job at the Waterman's Museum in Yorktown, and they had like a pirate camp. And so it was kind of like summer camp. So the counselors, would be like babysitting like elementary school to middle school kids. And it's so funny that like these kids are so much younger than me, and as kind of an icebreaker, I'm like, "What's your favorite Pokemon?" And then they immediately open up and are just like chatting away, and it's something that could be I could relate to. And it was kind of a cute moment. It's like where it's like I don't know what to say, I don't know what the new generation does, but I can relate on the Pokemon. Pokemon's a good icebreaker. So, but anyway, and it's probably part of dire wolves. That's super cool. Let's see. Okay, wait a minute. African wild dogs. Canis familiaris, 24% pitbull, 25% shepherd, 50% whippet. Crocodiles and sharks come in between. Super cool. Dire wolves are extremely cool. What's funny is I've only seen a tiny bit of Game of Thrones, but I know dire wolves are a thing. And I thought the dire wolves for a hot second were like a fantasy animal, and I didn't realize that they were alive. Like they're actually real creatures. It's kind of like finding out that ligers are real. Like ligers are real creatures, which I was surprised by dire wolves. I've heard of ligers before, but like the lion tiger hybrid is a real thing, which is kind of amazing. Like those, if I remember correctly, ligers demonstrate hybrid gigantism, so they get larger than their parents. But like all hybrids, most if not all hybrids, they cannot reproduce on their own. So, like once you have a liger, it's amazing. It gets to be enormous, but it doesn't reproduce. So you can't have like a population. Well, actually, you know what? I was about to say you can't have a population of hybrids, but there is a hybrid shark species between the Australian blacktip shark and I think the classic blacktip, like the common blacktip shark. And I do think that population is thriving. I forget because I thought hybrids can't reproduce, but I gotta look that up. Actually, let's look up. Yes, genetics. Howard, are ligers a natural hybrid? I don't think so. And then Minja's genetics are so weird. Yep. So great questions, or great question, and absolutely 100% agree with the comment. Let's find out. And actually, I'm going to make a guess. I'm going to make a guess before I Google this. I think. Let me think about this actually. So lions used to have a much larger distribution, and if I'm not mistaken, lions were in Europe, and lions were in Africa, lions were in Europe, and tigers are in India, East Asia. I want to say that they might have been. I wonder if they naturally overlapped at one time. I'm going to guess that ligers can naturally happen, but let's find out. Okay. And I actually like to brush up on hybridism as well. So, a liger is a hybrid offspring of a male lion and a tigress or female tiger. The liger has parents in the same genus but of different species. Liger is distinct from the opposite hybrid called the tigon of a male tiger and a lioness, and is the largest of all known extant felines. They enjoy swimming, which is characteristic of tigers, and are very sociable like lions. Notably, ligers typically grow larger than either parent species, unlike tigons. So these are apparently what ligers look like. Okay, they actually look extremely cool. Wow, that's wild looking. You got like the tiger spotting, but then like a lot of the lion features like the brushiness, and like the huge paws. It's so interesting. Okay, so I'm kind of curious. Okay, the history of lion-tiger hybrids dates at least to the 19th century in India. Well, I don't know actually. So maybe it is not natural. Maybe these are man-made. Interesting. Okay. Size and growth. A liger is often believed to be the largest cat in the world. Males reach a total length of 9.8. Sorry, 3 to 3.6 meters. 9.8 to 11.8 feet. And creates a weight of 1,100 pounds. I'm just gonna skim through because I know it's a short stream. And this guy is a weirdo from Tiger King, the Netflix thing, so I don't want to give this too much attention. Fertility. I am curious about this. The fertility of hybrid big cat females is well documented across a number of different hybrids. The hybrid of animals whose sex is determined by sex chromosomes. If one of the two sexes is absent, rare, or sterile, it will be the heterogenetic sex. Male ligers are consequentially sterile, while female ligers are not. Interesting. Ligers and tigons were long thought to be totally sterile. However, in 1943, a 15-year-old hybrid between a lion and an island tiger was successfully mated with a lion at the Munich Hellebrand Zoo. The female cub, though delicate of health, was raised to adulthood. Interesting. In September 2012, the Russian Novosibirsk Zoo announced the birth of a liger, the offspring of a liger mother and a lion father. The cub was named Kiara, which is a reference to Lion King, or Lion King 2. That is really interesting. The breeding of ligers and other panther hybrids has come under fire from animal rights activists and organizations who argue that the health problems experienced by these animals makes their creation immoral. Despite these assertions of immorality, some unlicensed zoos still breed ligers for profit. I don't like that. Oh god. The United States holds the greatest population of around 30 ligers. China holds about 20 ligers. There are some countries worldwide that hold a few, but it's probably fewer than 100 exist worldwide. So I was totally wrong. This is not natural. This is all human stuff. So it's really freaky. And I also was mistaken that and apparently, I guess it was a common mistake, is that I thought ligers could not reproduce, and I thought, oh, sorry, I meant to look up hybrids. I thought ligers could not reproduce, but I guess they can. All right, a hybrid. So technically, a hybrid. Just brushing up on this. Is the offspring resulting from combining the qualities of two organisms of different varieties, subspecies, species, or genera through sexual reproduction. It means that each cell has genetic material from two different organisms, whereas individual from some cells are derived from a different organism called a chimera. Interesting. Okay, they show hybrid vigor, meaning they get larger than either parent. Species are reproductively isolated by strong barriers to hybridization. A few animal species and many plant species, however, are the result of hybrid speciation, including important crop plants such as wheat, where the number of chromosomes has been doubled. Interesting. I didn't realize that wheat is a hybrid. Wheat, the liger of plants. So that should be for any. That could be a slogan. That could be marketing for wheat. The liger of plants. So, let's see. Human selective breeding and domesticated animals of plant cells result in the development of distinct breeds. Hybrid humans exist in prehistory. So this might have been what you referred to, Howard. Potentially. Neanderthals and anatomically modern humans are thought to have interbred as recently as 40,000 years ago. I remember hearing about this. Yeah, I always thought that hybrids could not reproduce, but I guess for the most part they can't. But sometimes they can. So, interesting. Okay. We'll move back to the shark. Like our plants. Hybrid don't live long, I thought. So yes, that's usually what it is. So Bibia, the hybrid don't live long. Yes, that's usually the case. So hybrids, and referring back to the liger, like that conservationists or not conservationists, but like animal rights advocates are against liger breeding because they developed health problems. I think you are right that many hybrids, don't function well. And are not very healthy. And you're right also, I was just saw a comment that liger tigan hybrid does not come in the wild. Yes, so. And Bruce, yes, it greatly depends. It greatly depends. And it makes sense because, the concept of a species, so firstly, the concept of a hybrid is two different species are crossing that species barrier and breeding. So the tigers and the lions cross that barrier and breed. And the reason why that's such a miraculous thing and such a uncommon thing is the very definition of a species itself, which is a species is a reproductively isolated group of animals. So it's for whatever reason, whether there's like geographic barriers or behavioral barriers. And I would say my assumption for lions and tigers is that it's mostly geographical. Like the population that became tigers were, kind of restricted to Asia, and the population that became lions were restricted to Africa, and there really wasn't really a lot of opportunity for these two groups of big cats to breed. So they just breed with each other, like tigers breed with tigers, lions breed with lions, and they keep passing down traits that reaffirm their tigerness or their lionness. And as you keep doing that and you keep genetically reproducing in this way, your genes are oriented to your in-group, your population in-group, and they're going to be less compatible with something super, super distant, like genetically just super, super distant, like a tiger. And so it makes sense that there are health risks for hybrids because those genetic that DNA, like those genes, they don't really line up harmoniously together, and it makes sense that you can have weird mutations, and problems. But if something is close enough it makes sense that there may be exceptions to that rule, or to that rule, that general concept that, two different species can't breed if they were evolutionarily maybe close enough or compatible enough, where the genetic intermixing is not really disrupting development. I guess you can have these rare exceptions like the ligers, or I guess us, since we are, how definitely true Neanderthal genes are found in a portion of society. So the Neanderthals amongst us. So, Bibi, I think Neanderthals and Devonians are humans like us. We interbred, and the offspring is alive and kicking. Biodistracting. Sorry. Oh no. This is what the stream is about. We're totally like. It's a study party, so it's definitely just it's whatever goes. So I do love exploring different parts of science, and it makes our shark study parties really fun, because it's always like shark conservation and studying about sharks. It's always going to be a part of this world and a part of biology as a whole. So there's a lot of fun opportunities to look at different branches of biology. So totally cool. I love conversations like this. So I think it was a really good tangent, actually. So, but let's head back to our tropical sawshark, and we'll do a quick recap of what this species is, and kind of figure out what makes it distinct from other sawsharks, and we'll go into some research. So, fish base, Pristiophorus delicatus, the tropical sawshark. So the fish base map is Australia, New Zealand. Let's check out the IUCN Red List map. By comparison, this is off of northern Australia, so this is, I think, Queensland? Yes, Queensland, and I believe this is actually the Great Barrier Reef area, if I'm not mistaken. So it's really cool to see that there's a saw shark, because I always grew up with saw sharks being just kind of like, rare and distant, and that might be biased growing up in the Atlantic, like growing up in, kind of like western part of the world, where the sharks that we see typically are, not the western part of the world, but like the east coast of the United States, where the sharks that we see typically are the sandbars, the sand tigers, the bull sharks, the white sharks. Like those are the classics, right? And so I might have grown up with a bias where, saw sharks always seem so, mysterious and deep water removed, and it's really cool to see that there is a saw shark that lives in the tropics. On one of our earlier streams, we met the Bahamas saw shark, a saw shark that lives in the Bahamas, which is so cool. I didn't realize that there was such an animal. So I'm excited to learn more about this species that lives in, looks like the Great Barrier Reef region of Australia. So here we go. Let's see. Pristiophorus. The genus name means saw, or saw bearer, or saw carrier, which makes sense. Delicatus is Latin for dainty or delicate, referring to the fine, delicate rostral teeth on the elongated rostrum. Interesting. So this animal lives at 246 to 405 meters. It does live in a tropical zone, but it lives in the twilight zone of the tropics. This small species possesses the following characters. Nostril origin is 3.2 to 3.7 times mouth to nostril. These are just like specific measurements. So it looks like the proportions are a little bit different from other saw sharks. Color dorsally pale to medium yellowish brown, ventrally pale whitish to yellowish. Interesting. Okay. And here is a rostral picture of the saw shark. Howard, this looks so cool because this looks so similar to your artwork. So again, well done. I think you nailed it with the positioning the eyes with the chondrocranium. It looks so good. So. But this species was discovered in 2008, so fairly recent species. Discovered when The Dark Knight came out. So, which is hard to believe. That movie is almost 20 years old. So Batman Begins is 20 years old. That's shocking. So Revenge of the Sith is 20 years old. But anyway, it's kind of cool to see the underside of the rostral cartilage. And it's also, I know this is a partial picture, but you can kind of start to see the beginnings of what makes this species a shark and not a ray, where you can see that the head You can see like a little bit right here, a little bit of a tease of the head being separate from the gills. So that's a big feature of what makes sharks and not rays. So the head is separate from the gills. You've got these really cool looking jaws here, of pretty prominent looking teeth. Let me zoom in so I can show you. There you go. So fairly prominent looking teeth. Large olfactory nares, so large nasal openings, pretty long barbels. It's kind of cool to see for saw sharks that in the rostrum, it has like a narrow point. It has a wide section kind of near where the barbels are, and then it kind of sometimes indents a little bit inwards before expanding outwards again. So you see like a little bit of a bulge where the rostrum are. Where the barbels are. This saw shark doesn't have as prominent of a kind of like that was it concave like that bulge feature compared to other saw sharks. So, but this could be a juvenile specimen. So it's because it's very subtle looking. It could be just a smaller individual. So the teeth are super cool to see. And it's kind of cool to see. This almost makes me think of like an alligator, right? Where it's like you have a couple very long teeth, and with like just kind of sporadically positioned along the jaw. Although this may be specimen damage because the teeth here look kind of even. It's like I see this interesting pattern of major cusp and then two cusplets on the side. So it kind of has these really cool like. What do you call those? Sai, like the Japanese knives, kind of like what Raphael, the Ninja Turtle, uses. Like these 3 points. Let me see. You see what I'm saying? Where it's like the 3 points right here. That's like a Sai blade. So, fun fact: I used to do Shonryu karate, and I actually used to use Sais. So I used to practice with those. So. So they're pretty cool. They're some of my favorite Japanese karate weapons to use are the Sais. So, so I was a Ninja Turtle in my past life. So I sound completely incoherent, but it's Monday. Anyway, but it's a really cool tooth arrangement here on the rostrum. So, and this apparently is the holotype. So this is the specimen that anchors the entire species. That's something I really love about this website, sharkreferences.com. Usually the image that's on the landing page is like a photograph or an illustration of the type specimen. So, oh, and this is really cool. So this is also a holotype, and this is the full body of the specimen. So, yep. Love these comments. The doctor draws lower deepens. Thank you. One side of the teeth look better than the other. Yeah, so great observation, Bibia. I think I can't tell if the one side of the teeth looking better is biological or if that's specimen damage. And I'm going to guess it might be specimen damage. So, and the coloration on this individual right here, this actually looks like a fairly okay, it is preserved. It is I wouldn't say it's like super damaged, but like there's some aspects that do look really good. Like the head looks really good, but you could see like kind of a shriveling feature kind of around the gills here. And then it's so pale that this is probably this individual probably has been dead for quite a while and preserved probably pretty immediately. So, but it's a great for ichthyology collection. It's a great individual just to study and to look at. Very well preserved. But I kind of make a note of that specimen damage just for the coloration because this is very very pale and very far from what the coloration would be in life. Even so, it's pretty interesting to see fairly large pectoral fins and actually quite large dorsal fins too. I would say maybe even a bit larger than the Japanese saw shark, and yet the caudal fin looks a little bit smaller. So it's so cool for saw sharks to see just how flat the head is. Like the head is like so small and narrow. This for this photograph, I can't tell if they somehow laid this animal on the side, so that might be kind of compressing the body a little bit, so it looks like it has like a larger, girthier, like a hunchback and a larger belly. But this may be biased from a photograph, so like how the specimen was positioned in a photograph. So, but still, pretty interesting. It only has the one English name, Tropical Sawshark. This is the same description as fish base, so we'll kind of skip that. The size, very small, so this is 62.5 centimeters for a male, 84.5 centimeters for a female. So centimeters to feet, let's see what that would be. 62.5, about 2 feet. Okay, so not tiny. 84.5. 2 to 3 feet, so not tiny, but definitely, as far as sharks go, rather on the smaller side. So, okay. Let's see what we can learn. The tropical sawshark, least concern on the ice list, and I'm so sorry this view is so terrible. Ecamm hasn't sent the newest update yet, but I hope they get it over to us soon, because this is just, it's really screwing up our view. Hold on. This should be okay. That's a little, it's passable. So, oh, see you, Minjas. Sorry, just saw your comment. Really happy to have you back. Thank you so much for joining again. Hope college is going well, and we'll see you next week. So. Bibia, same as hammerheads, great for sideways movements. So I think referred to the rostral. Oh, I got you. You mean like kind of like the slightly expanded, like in the midpoint of the rostrum, because that's a really great point. So for the saw shark's rostral shape. So let's see. It's really great to see yet another shark least concerned. So a shark that's doing okay in this world. So tropical saw shark joins the ranks of about roughly half the sharks in the world that are doing well. So let's see what's going on with the total assessment. Gotcha. I meant the rostrum and the hammer serve the same use. Gotcha. So, very good point. I feel like as kind of, let's see. Great for size. Oh no, yeah, you're right. Sorry, I that makes sense. And that's a really good point, because it's like, it's kind of cool that I think, if I'm not mistaken, some swords have, like sword blades. Some of them have a similar feature, and that aids kind of physically. It aids in adding weight to a strike. So let's see, Lord of the Rings. Sting. I think quite a famous sword has this. Yeah, there we go. So Sting has this feature. There we go. So this is the famous Lord of the Rings blade that Frodo Baggins and Bilbo Baggins used. But you see how Sting, this sword has kind of like a flared out blade a little bit, so it gets wider in the midpoint. I believe that was intentional. Like design-wise, so all the Lord of the Rings props, they're expertly made, and they're based on. They were informed by what was his name? Howard? Is that Howard? What was his name? He was like a big Tolkien artist. He's also a huge fan of armor and arms. But a lot of the Lord of the Rings props from Weta Workshop are informed by this medieval art and combat consultant. And it was talking about sword shape, where I believe the flared out blade aids in kind of adding weight to a sword swing. And so with that in mind, it's kind of cool that lines up with your point, Bibia. How do you come up with new sharks to study? I would suggest sharks which were done already. I think you're the shark boss. Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely. No, Howard had some excellent suggestions, and this species, the tropical sawshark, was a Howard suggestion. So this is a great comment, Bibia. But again, you were right. I think about the sawshark rostrum shape. I do think there's a parallel between that and kind of like a flared out sword shape. It's something that adds kind of like physically adds weight to the blade when it does take a swing at fish. So let's check out the conservation status of the species. So the tropical sawshark is an endemic species, which is really cool. There's not that many endemic sharks because sharks, compared to a lot of other animals, they have such a large range. A lot of them are quite migratory, so it's really, really cool to see an endemic shark species. The tropical sawshark is an endemic species known only from off northeast Australia at depths of 176 to 405 meters. It reaches 95 centimeters total length, but little is known of its biology. It has been captured as bycatch in a Queensland East Coast trawl fishery, deepwater component of the Eastern King prawn sector, though this sector has low fishing effort and generally does not operate within the depth range of the species. The Queensland commercial deepwater line fishery and some recreational fishers and charter operators may interact with this species, though no captures have been reported. The Commonwealth-managed coral sea fishery also operates within the species' area of occurrence. However, there's been no trawl effort in nearly 10 years. Although a poorly known species, its distribution is subject to only minimal fishing effort and is likely to receive refuge at depth. That's really cool. There's quite a few shark species that are able to avoid human fishing pressure for that reason, because they're out of reach of humans. On the flip side, some of the most vulnerable species, like the smaller kinds of hammerheads, like the small eye hammerhead or the scalped bonnethead, they don't have refuge at depth. They can't go into deep water, so they're just smack in the middle of all that fishing pressure. So it's really cool to see a shark that does have that advantage, that refuge at depth, that helps with its survival ultimately. Is therefore assessed as least concern. However, bycatch levels should be monitored, and any future expansion of demersal trawling within its range, which is unlikely, may pose a risk given its limited geographic and bathymetric range. So yeah, the species is doing okay for now, but we just need to be mindful of it. Again, shout out to Australia, because Australia does a lot of great work for shark conservation. I used to say Australia and the United States were conservation leaders for sharks. I'm a little wary of the United States now as far as what it's going to do and where its conservation position is. But Australia, no matter what, is fantastic conservation wise. And I will say the United States, no matter what, it does have a very robust body of work as far as shark research and shark science and shark conservation efforts. So Australia and the United States were the two top places to generate I feel like for studying sharks and doing pursuing a doctorate in sharks, those are two top places. So I'm curious about it. I'm curious about will the Americans maintain that status as far as being some of the best conservationists in the world when it comes to sharks, or will they not? I hope they do. We'll see. But Australia has done amazing work with their species. There's a lot of species that have wide ranges, and when you look at their assessments, and when you break the assessments down from different parts of the ocean and look at the Australian population and the New Zealand population, but more so the Australian population, they do phenomenally well. Australia has a lot of really great programs for shark conservation. So just shout out to Australia is the point of that. So let's see. Still curious about the barbels though. Same here. I am very curious about that. I think to answer your original question, I don't think they are structural support. I think they're sensing. I think they somehow help the shark in sensing the seabed. Whether that's feeling for vibrations or maybe, I don't know if there would be ampullae lawrencini on the barbels themselves, but it would be kind of cool if there were. So we'll find out. I think we may be able to, as we go through the research, we'll take a look at that in more detail and see if there's an explanation for that. So this is super cool. Howard, lately I've been using a pocket guide to sharks of the world Yes, I got my copy from, yep, yours truly, as a prize for a fossil shark drawing I did. I'm going to star that. That book is awesome. And the newest copy, I love the updates in it. So I'm really glad you're enjoying it, Howard. I've got the older one right here, just as a quick reference. But the Sharks of the World series, whether it's, and it's kind of expanding, which is super cool. Like they have the latest one is 2022. It's huge. It's a hardcover. It has a tiger shark on it. It's kind of like my core book, like my core go-to book for sharks. It's kind of like, it's like the tome for sharks. And then you have the pocket guides, which I think your copy, Howard, is the latest, most recently updated edition. So this one that I have in my hand right now is 2015. And then they came out and are continuing to come out with these really cool regional guides. Let me show this to you, actually. One second. I did this for my birthday. I just immediately picked this up as kind of like a treat. This is Sharks, Rays, and Chimeras of the East Coast of North America. So this is the same authors, but they broke their guide into a regional guide and included the rays in it too. So they did the East Coast of North America, and now they're going to do the West Coast. I think that's their next volume, and I think they're probably going to continue. I don't see why they wouldn't. So they're probably going to look at other regions too, but I think that's really cool. Just they do kind of more. They're gonna. That guide is really fun because it's kind of more like regionally focused. So they have local names and kind of more in-depth notes about the biology of populations of those species in that region. So I love this collection of books. It's the go-to. Like I feel like for a shark lover's book collection, like these are the must-have. Like Sharks of the World is like the must-have. And then you can build off of it, as far as like you can add to it as far as like shark behavioral books, shark ecology books, but that's like the good go-to book. So I'll take notes for books whilst making morning coffee. Yeah. So yes, Sharks of the World. Sharks of the World. Actually, no. I think Howard typed it, right? Yes. So Howard typed it. So Sharks of the World. By Ebert, Dando, and Fowler. It's the go-to fantastic book series. So, actually, let me see if I could pull up the big one I'm talking about, Sharks of the World. I definitely want to plug for them because it's just like it's such a phenomenal book. Okay, awesome. So this is really cool. So there's two versions. So there's this one with the tiger shark. So this is the main one. This is kind of like the go-to master text, right? And then the one that Howard is mentioning is this really cool one, the Pocket Guide to Sharks of the World. This is the same book. It's just condensed, so it's not the detailed biology notes. It's kind of more like the physical features. But the advantage of this one is that it's updated. So the latest species are in this one. So this one with, I think that's a scalloped hammerhead. We've got a rough shark, a woebegone, and I think that's Diania, arrowhead dogfish, if I'm not mistaken. This will have the most updated information, which is super exciting. And then this is kind of like the core text. So highly recommend either one of them. They're both really good to get. So hope you enjoy Bibia. So, yes, Howard, please. My interests are so specific. I may have to write my own book on weasel sharks. Yes, actually, that would be super cool. And there's a lot of like really cool like small or large publishing options. So if you have any questions, just let me know as far as like how to pursue that, because there are a couple different ways to do that, but I think it would be really worthwhile. Like a weasel shark book would be super cool. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions on kind of like that publishing journey and stuff. So, and maybe a fun kids book with some of my drawings. That would be really, really good. Actually, that would be fantastic. Because like your artwork is amazing, Howard. I really really enjoy it. So and there's such a great collection of it too. So I think these are both really good ideas. So yeah, I highly encourage that. So absolutely, I'll read it too. I will read it. I'm gonna start this because sorry. The star button is near the ban button. I'm so sorry. So I started that comment. So we're good. But on this eCam setup, the star button is near the ban button, so it freaked me out for a second. But we're good. No one's banned. So, but that's both are really cool pursuits, Howard. So I'm definitely on board for that too. So, let's see. More information on the tropical sawshark. Here we go. This is kind of more of like a regional guide. Oops, lol. No, we're good. I've done that a couple times to a couple different viewers in accident. I've never banned. Actually, no, I did. I think I banned someone. It happened. This might have been 2024, 2023. I feel like it was 2023. I did ban somebody because they immediately, right out the gate, were just being it was just like an unhinged commenter. It was just like it just was like spewing like anti-evolution vitriol. It was terrible, and I just like in moments like that's an instant ban where it's like I can't reason with you. This is clearly unhinged, and so that's the one time I've ever banned anybody. So. And what's actually kind of cool is YouTube does allow you to do. A lot of my favorite podcasters do this too. Who also have some of their podcast videos on YouTube. Like some big ones like Hello Internet, or no, not Hello Internet. Brady Haran, who does Numberphile and Objectivity. He does this, and I really appreciate this. You can have a custom word ban. So for like obscenities or just vulgar words or just like terrible things, YouTube allows you to go behind the scenes and just ban that so it doesn't appear. So I do have that for things that are just like I can't. This is indefensible. This is just really awful. It's mostly like kind of like I use like I don't know, like ABC Family guidelines, not literally, but meaning like just, what's okay, what's PG, like what's okay, as far as that goes. So yeah, but it's really funny because on the back end, I have a vault of just the most vile words because I have to specify what they are. So I have to just think of the most vile, terrible things to come up with. And I put them in the vault, and that way they're not allowed on comments or anything. So I appreciate that feature from YouTube. It's really funny, but yeah. Oh my gosh, anti-evolution is being rude. No, I don't. I'm gonna star that video. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, what I really appreciate is I feel like my channel has been. Blessed in the sense that it's on the good side of the algorithm where tangent alarm it's on the good side of the algorithm where it's mostly people who really genuinely flat earthers. Yes, oh my gosh, you don't even get me started. Like I've been very fortunate in our channel, like with the Dr. Jaws channel, that it's mostly people who genuinely love sharks and who are genuinely really passionate about them, and they're a really cool community. Like we're a really cool community. Like everybody's like really supportive and fun and like smart and just like I really love the dialogue on our channel. So for the most part, it's been awesome. The few times I've ever gotten flack where I made those like Jaws critiques, like the movie Jaws. I've had a couple people who were very who took it really personally that I was pointing out some flaws in Jaws. That it's just they didn't really offer good counter arguments. They were just complaining. So it's like that, and then I had a few people try to tell me that white sharks, great whites, live inside the Chesapeake Bay, which that drove me up a wall, because like they just don't. So that took me a while to kind of calm down, like kind of not quell, but just kind of explain and pin a comment on, we don't have great whites in the bay. I wish we did. That would be really cool, but they can't handle the lower salinity. That's just not part of what they like. We have them in Virginia Beach, but we don't have them going into the actual Chesapeake Bay because it's not salty enough for them. It's just their biology. It's just what they want. So, and I think that's the only time I ever had weird stuff on a channel, which I'm very grateful for. I'm very happy that it's mostly good stuff. I feel like YouTube is, I feel like there's quite a few communities who have enthusiasts and who like really are passionate about that subject. And when you read the comment section, it's very civil and very supportive. And like, I love that. It's kind of like a cool little cafe. Like an internet cafe. I feel like we were fortunate enough to have that, you know, like Dr. Jaws is a fun shark cafe, you know. There's like a lot of channels like, who is it? Cottage Fairy, who I quite like. It's a very relaxing channel. She's been able to do that too. She has like a nice little cafe vibe of just fun people, you know. And then I feel like the larger channels and kind of like the more corporate ones, like the news channels and stuff, I mean, not obviously news, I guess, but like the bigger ones, you get more of the weird stuff and kind of like the vitriolic stuff. So I'm very grateful that, you know, for niche channels, it's pleasant, you know, it's people who love this subject. So, yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Love these comments, guys, about the flat earthers. I will say, just like, I worked very briefly for a radar security company, and they made a good point that radar cannot work on a flat earth, like, because of beams. Like the entirety of how radar works is based on the curvature of the earth. You have to calculate the curvature of the earth when you program a radar. You know, otherwise it's gonna go into space. So like, it's just stupid. It's just stupid. So anyway, all right. We'll keep going with the tropical sawshark. Do I have that right? Does it go into space or it goes into the ground? You have to do. It goes somewhere where it shouldn't be. Okay. I'm gonna continue. I can't go off the subject, but no, it goes into space because you bounce. Hold on. Yes, no, it goes into space. Sorry. Okay, if the Earth was flat, radar would go into space. Like, radar would never work because it just blasts off into space. But because the Earth is round, you calculate it so that it hits the object with the curvature of the Earth adjusted. That's okay. Sorry, I had to think about that one for a second. All right, moving on. The tropical sawshark is a deep-water endemic species, known only from northeast Australia. It has been captured as bycatch in the Queensland East Coast trawl fishery, although the deep-water trawl sector has a low fishing effort. I think it's the same as the main IUCN profile. Let me just skim this to see if there's new biology notes. The tropical sawshark is restricted to a confined region in northeast Australia between Gladstone and Cairns off the coast of Queensland. The only specimens were collected from an exploratory fishing survey of North Queensland in the mid-1980s, and from within this range at the Swains Reef in 2011. The distribution or abundance outside the survey area is unknown. Bycatch. Talked about this. Habitat biology. Tropical sawshark has been found on continental slope in depths ranging from 176 to 405 meters. Excuse me. So it's kind of interesting. It's on the slope. And the slope is a cool region where, you know, it depends where, but you may get upwelling. So, like, water currents can come up the slope and deposit nutrients and kind of create this cool area. Then again, actually, it depends, because I might be kind of getting confused with the shelf. Like, the shelf is an area where you can get a lot of upwelling. The slope may not necessarily be directly benefiting from that phenomenon. So, oh, here we go. I must say that Twitter, Fox, and to the right-wing news sites can poison the public discourse. The news is very untrustworthy in the current USA. It starts to be dictatorship level. I agree. It's really sad. And just to kind of comment on that, like, and I it's like I find a lot of strength and wisdom in either looking at niche subjects or subjects that you trust, as far as like outlets that are niche and dedicated to like a field of study that you care about and that you know. I think like if it's that or something more local, I find more trust in that than in national media of any kind. National media is just too big and there's too much at stake, as far as there's too much political interest in either side, and like I to be very transparent, I mean, I would say Fox is terrible. Like, it's Fox has been more anti-science than the other outlets. All the other outlets, though, they do have problems, at least in the U.S. So we don't watch out and change. Nature will be the victim of Twitter, Fox, Aeon. Yeah, agreed. And it's like, the thing is, like, I think it's powerful to step away from these things, because honestly, their business model is to just freak people out and get their buy-in and to create this weird, like, sports team mentality. Like, you have to be with us. You're part of our group. You're part of our tribe, if you will. You're part of, like, the Fox tribe, or, and I'm gonna like. Pick on Fox a little bit more, because I feel like they're more obvious than the other outlets as far as, like, doing this game of trying to get people, like, I don't know, just trying to do this, like, tribalism and trying to, like, get people angry and trying to keep people paranoid and freaked out. And in doing that, they're preserving viewership and creating a block that caters to their interest, or whoever is buying their interest. And it's just so dangerous, and it's so big that it's just like, yeah. And so, long story short, I totally agree with you, Bibia. And I feel like more people should be just either looking at reputable sources. I mean, actually, like, politics aside, for conservationists and educators of marine science, we're trained to tell people, or like tell students or share with students, like, hey, check your sources, like make sure they come from good places, like, look for something that is peer reviewed, like a scientific journal, or something that at least is somewhat adjacent to your subject, like an aquarium, or like something like an aquarium or a marine science institute, where there's people who are devoted to the subject, who are experts in it, who, like, love it, even honestly people who are interacting with it on a daily basis. And I'm gonna say it, sometimes fishermen, it depends. Sometimes fishermen, watermen, they are plugged in to a degree. It depends on who you're talking to. Some of them get it. Like, some of them are actually plugged in and aligned with an overall fisheries perspective and an overall fisheries goal, because they get that you need to invest in your natural resources. You need to be, like, preserving them in order to benefit from them. Even though, fishermen do benefit from them, some of them understand how it works, and try to understand how it works, and are really, I respect that, even though, like, I don't like fishing personally, I respect fishermen and watermen who do understand the bigger picture and say, look, we can't keep ravaging the environment because we're not going to have anything left. And for that reason, we're aligned with fishery science. We're okay with some of these regulations. Like, they make sense for us. Yeah. At least in the United States, some of the regulations for fishing, they're pretty codified. For sharks specifically, there are pretty strong guidelines on where you can and can't catch. and there are penalties for it. Virginia Marine Resource Commission super strict about oysters. You cannot poach oysters. If you poach oysters, you will be fined $1,000 at least. And you can actually, depending on the offense, face jail time. So there are people plugged in that way. And I will say there are some people who ignore science, unfortunately. Who are fishermen who won't even hear it. Because it's conflicting with their special interests. So I need to be careful because I want to shout out and acknowledge, the fishermen who are plugged in and who actually do make a good faith effort and who do understand the bigger picture. That's great. That's really awesome, and we do need that collaboration. And I also want to say that they're not all great. Because there are some fishermen who literally will not work with scientists or conservationists. Unfortunately, there are some examples kind of in Virginia from some of my colleagues who've run into it. Like the data is solid, well presented, and there's just a level of ignorance there. So, Bibby, I agree. And Howard, I agree. Facts are facts. Everything else is BS. Yes, and I think we non-American people are ahead of the curve in that regard. Our news is more or less fact-based. Commercial news doesn't serve the truth as much. I agree. I do agree with that. For me personally, as far as my news diet goes, I check BBC, which it's not perfect, but I know there's like a kind of a standard there, a level of integrity there. And the bigger picture is I don't rely exclusively on them. I check multiple sources just to kind of get a gist of what's going on. I'm not trustworthy of mainstream American media because there's so much special interest in it. I am more trustworthy of niche American media, like if the scale is smaller, if it's more local, it's kind of harder to pull some of the BS, so I will and there are some really good local reporters that I really like. That literally are like, when I used to live, I'm still in Virginia, but I've moved from one part of the state to another. Where I used to live when the stream started, there was a really, really fantastic local reporter who will do national news, state news, and local news. And I loved her work. It was very good, very, very well, like good journalistic integrity, kind of more this is the part about the fisherman. Audio was fuzzy. BBC is not perfect, but it's better than most. Yep. You have to verify these days, unfortunately. Yes. I agree with both points. With the fisherman, long story short, I was just kind of praising the fishermen who are in sync with fishery science and who get the value, who understand the value of the regulations in the sense that they understand that this is to protect the entire resource that you're fishing for, so that you can continue to fish for it. There are fishermen who are like that, and I respect them, and I just wanted to shout them out. And I also simultaneously wanted to criticize the fishermen, or critique the fishermen who are just ignorant. They don't listen to the science, because they don't want to. And that's all it is. There's nothing noble about it. It's just there are some fishermen like that. So, I just that was in a nutshell what I was saying. It's just I think some environmentalists are against all fishing and all fishermen, and I think the reality is there are there's a faction of fishing and fishermen who are informed and who do the right thing and who kind of get the big picture, and then there's a faction who are just ignorant, who don't care. So they're out there every day. They could be our greatest resource. Yes, that's the point. That's a great point, Howard, because you're absolutely right. And they have been. Actually, there are quite a few studies that are fishermen informed, fishermen informed science. They can be great partners as far as kind of keeping tabs on hey, this is what we're seeing out there. This is the behavior, or these are the landings. Fishermen can be fantastic partners, for good science. So, so that's an excellent point that I absolutely agree with. So, I just realized it's 10:30. So please let me know if there's a shark you'd like to cover specifically next week. I don't want to miss out on the tropical sawshark, so I'll keep pushing forward. Let's see if we've got any information. Starting with there is. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Look at this, Bibia. Here we go. The barbels help them detect prey in mud or sand, while the saw-like snout is used to chase out and catch the invertebrates on which they feed. Okay, so this is Anima Marine Life Images. So this seems like a kind of Oh, okay, there we go. The source is Swainston's Fishes of Australia. Okay, I will take that, actually. I was about to say this is kind of a random website, but the source being Swainston's Fishes of Australia, I think that works, actually. Yeah. Yes, Howard, in the future, to qualify as a fisherman, scientific cooperation should be mandatory. Agreed. And actually, I will say, I feel like the entire United States, definitely Virginia, but most states, I feel like all of the United States, you can't just like fish for something. I mean, you can, but you're technically not allowed to. You have to get a fishing license. And part of the license is you have to like know the regulations. I wish I had a North Carolina fishing guide. There's pretty codified seasons. And actually, what's kind of interesting is for sharks there are. Oh, actually, let me pull this up. I really want to find this. Virginia. I want to show you guys what I'm talking about. Virginia Marine Resource Commission prohibited sharks. Let's see. It's a little goofy because there's some species that really should be listed. Alright. Here we go. So this chapter establishes gear restrictions, possession limit, limitations of taking and landing of sharks. Okay. Permitted, prohibited. Okay. Commercially prohibited sharks means any of the following species. Atlantic angel, Squattia demera, which is interesting because that one is actually least concern. Basking, fantastic. That's an endangered species. Basking shark you can't land. Big eye sand tiger, big eye six-gill, big eye thresher. Big nose, black nose, Caribbean reef, Caribbean sharp nose. Dusky is fantastic because it's endangered. Galapagos, the longfin mako. Now this is interesting, guys. Longfin mako is prohibited, and that's great, but what about the shortfin mako? Unfortunately, I think that might be allowed. Where is it? Shortfin mako. Oh, there it is. Oh no, good. It is prohibited. Yes, okay. Because I think there was once upon a time the shortfin mako was allowed, but that's prohibited now. Fantastic. So shortfin mako. So what was it? Dusky, Galapagos, longfin mako, narrowtooth, night shark, oceanic whitetip, critically endangered species, sand tiger, seven-gill, six-gill, small tail, whale, white, shortfin mako. This is awesome. So this list of prohibited species is great because there are like some of these are some of the most endangered sharks in the world. So that's awesome. Now some of these permitted species are goofy. You've got the great hammerhead, scalped hammerhead, smooth hammerhead. The great hammerhead and scalped hammerhead are globally critically endangered, so I don't know why they're considered permitted. That's really a shame. And I know American hammerheads have been seen as okay compared to the global population, but given that the global population is critically endangered, I'm really surprised that these are permitted, and I really wish they weren't. Smooth hammerhead is doing much better, but still not great. You've got the Atlantic sharpnose, which is fine, the bonnethead, which is endangered, and the fine-tooth, I don't think the fine-tooth is doing well, if I remember correctly. The blue is okay, porbeagle, not so great, thresher, not so great. And then finally, blacktip, bull, lemon, nurse, silky, spinner, and tiger. Not the worst for permitted large coastal shark, but not great. So, I would say this list is mostly good, but, and so there are, this is interesting. The recreationally prohibited shark. I appreciate that there's just shark species that you just cannot fish for, period. Makos and white sharks you just cannot touch, and I really appreciate that. Research-only shark is special status for sandbar sharks in Virginia. So that's actually really cool. Oh, sorry. Hold on. So yeah, I just wanted to pull this up to show that there are laws and there are regulations for sharks, and they're actually the code is pretty detailed as far as that goes. So it's pretty. It encourages me to see it. So, and actually, one thing I know we've been talking about developments in the United States and validly so, but one thing I do want to emphasize, and a couple of environmentalists have been talking about this kind of on a larger scale as well. There is so many layers of things that are kind of baked in, as far as like conservation measures, land practices, best use practices. So many things have been baked in over, decades that it's going to take a while to dismantle them. If you had a lunatic president who wanted to dismantle everything, it will still take a while to do that. And so one thing that is kind of encouraging, like reading the Shark Code in Virginia, that kind of encourages me. In Chesapeake Bay, a lot of that habitat is modified for best use practices. For example, we have these breakwaters or jetties that are designed in such a way to reduce shoreline erosion. Or we have a lot of vested interest in aquaculture with oysters. Oysters are very, very protected and tightly guarded in Virginia. As far as like, we're not tightly guarded because like the population is so terrible right now, but like they're such a valuable resource that there are strict regulations. About I appreciate that LOL. Yeah. So I appreciate like there are very strict regulations on what you do with oysters because oysters are so valuable to the bay's economy overall. The restoration of seagrass has been a huge project, both on the eastern shore of Virginia and within the bay proper. I feel like the eastern shore has been more successful. But point being, there's a lot that has been done. And you kind of see a little bit of that trend line where, you have this like peak in the early 20th century, a huge plummet in marine life and habitat quality, and then a slow recovery of some species, depending on what kind of species it is. So I'm optimistic. I'm very hopeful. And I appreciate the LL, Howard. So one more, and we're good for April, conservative shark species to study. So let's see. White-tailed dogfish, broadfin sawtail cat shark, bronze whaler. I think we did the bronze whaler. I'm curious about the white-tailed dogfish. I forget if we did that one or not. And if not, we could do the broadfin sawtail cat shark. But these are great suggestions, Howard. Thank you. Let's see. Playlist. I'm going to check the squaliforms. Let's see. The white-tailed dogfish. Let's see. Okay, we did do the white-tailed dogfish. So let's do the broadfin sawtail cat shark. So we'll do... that's a great pick for next week. So broadfin sawtail... And I'm actually really excited to take another crack at sawtail cat sharks because they're a really interesting group that I'm not that familiar with. I know we did one last week, but I'm excited to kind of dive deeper into one, and I'm curious to see if there's more that we can learn. So let's see. Broadfin sawtail cat shark. This would be... I'm checking my copy of Sharks of the World Pocket Guide. Is this a new species? And I might have to Google this if I... oh, no, there it is. Galeus nipponensis. Okay, let's do it. Galeus nipponensis. Okay, awesome. Yes, Bibia, economic conservation study gets serious when economic impacts are hitting. Unbelievable that so many people still deny conservation is a good thing. Agreed, 100% agreed. And it's really unfortunate too because I mean, ecological conservation gets serious when economic impacts are felt. Yes, and it's sad because you have to remember that like there is such a great conservation legacy in the United States. I know I've talked about this before a couple times, but like you had Theodore Roosevelt in the early 20th century begin the national parks, like the preservation of national park lands with like Yellowstone, Shenandoah, and that they expanded national park system, which today has expanded to the National Marine Sanctuaries. So you have that. You have Rachel Carson in the 50s who successfully called out DDT and pointed out that this is poison and this is hurting eagles, and and we've since brought bald eagles back. You've had widespread popularity of conservation, and not just in America. Obviously, like great conservation leaders, or like great wildlife personalities and enthusiasts in the '90s and movements in the '90s. Like you've had like Jack Hanna, Jeff Corwin. They are both American. Steve Irwin, very famous Australian, of course, had a huge impact on the world. David Attenborough, who's still very popular, very relevant, has been, and he's British. So I'm like, I guess this is a global effort, but America had been a very big part of it. Free Willy, an American movie, was a really big part of the whale movement, as far as like helping to further along whale protections, and the international discourse on whale protections. And I feel like whales are some of the first species or first group of animals to like be venerated, like to be just treated as like, oh my gosh, like these are glorious creatures that deserve so much. David Suzuki, Roosevelt ended his career right. He started not great, but his conservation still is great. He was ahead on that. Yes. And hilariously enough, let me make sure, like, as controversial as George W. Bush is, he did end his presidency similarly, I think. George W. Bush, marine conservation. I thought he did something. During his presidency, George W. Bush took significant actions to protect marine environments. This is it. This is the big thing that Bush did. Which is kind of wild because like Bush was a very controversial president, but initiated the Papahana. Oh, I'm so sorry, Papahana. Wait, Papahana. Okay, I could do this. It's a marine national monument, the Papahānaumokuākea Marine National Monument. Okay, there we go. So. But this is an enormous area, and there we go. So look at this. So this was actually established and signed into law and a protection by George W. Bush, who was like, a very controversial president, but he did leave this at the end of his term, which is really interesting. And for comparison, here are the main Hawaiian Islands, and then here's the outlying conservation area, which is enormous. It's now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So as of 2010, this became part of the United Nations World Heritage Sites. And that's a huge boon to the environment. So it's interesting. There's, like, I don't know. Like, things like this give me a lot. This is part of why I'm an optimist, and this is part of why I have an optimistic outlook environmentally. It's like things like this are encouraging, so... but yeah, before the clock hits 11, we do need to continue with the Sawshark. I want to make sure I'm giving it as much attention as I can. Ecology activist and writer David Suzuki. Yeah, I want to make sure that we finish this right with the Sawshark. So there's one paper in particular I wanted to read, and I think it was the discovery of the species. So here we go. And I think we'll end with this for tonight. But a new species of sawshark, Pristiophorus delicatus, from northeastern Australia. This is by G.K. Yearsley, William Toby White, and Peter R. Last. So. A new species of sawshark, Pristiophorus delicatus, species new, or species novae, is described based on material from the upper continental slope of northeastern Australia. Pristiophorus delicatus is relatively small compared with other Australian Pristiophorus. It is clearly separable from all known congeners by a combination of morphometric characters, meristics, size, and color. Specimens of another eastern Australian sawshark identified as Pristiophorus species A conformed well to those of Pristiophorus serratus and differ only in coloration. Thus, Pristiophorus species A is tentatively considered a synonym of Pristiophorus serratus, with detailed examination of specimens from eastern and western populations required in the future. Okay. So we'll skim through this, but the family Pristiophoridae sawsharks is comprised of 9 currently recognized species that are unique amongst sharks in possessing a long, flat, saw-like snout with a pair of ventral barbels situated anterior to the nostrils. Pristiophorids are an ancient group of sharks with a fossil record dating back to the Upper Jurassic that shows a parallel evolution of the sawfishes Pristidae by the possession of an elongate saw-like rostrum. All species, this is actually not true anymore. This says all species occur, nope, never mind, there we go, sorry, there we go. All species occur in the Indo-West Pacific with the exception of Pristiophorus schroederi from the western North Atlantic and have narrow distributional ranges. Yep. Yes, Bibia, I hope the current president does change sooner than Bush did, but thank you for pointing that out. It's important to be truthfully and better late than never. So, yes, and for the current president, I don't want to get too political, but I don't think he'll probably. I would be shocked if he did anything positive as far as the environment goes. But I also wonder if I really do speculate if he's going to be effective for all 4 years. I do really speculate that because we have so much has happened lately that it in the United States, if you screw up or annoy people drastically in your first days in office, you do risk yourself being vulnerable to the midterms, where in 2 years you can have Congress and the Senate, like Republicans in Congress and Senate being replaced by Democrats, being voted out. And I'm actually very curious. There's a lot of ground movement by the Democratic Party in the United States appealing to Republicans currently. I don't know if you guys have heard of the it's like AOC and Bernie Sanders are doing this massive tour, and there's actually quite a few Democrats doing this as well. They're visiting Republican areas and trying to flip them. So it's going to be interesting to see, and I wonder if I am actually kind of curious if the amount of media attention, the amount of controversy that the current administration has generated already so quickly is maybe going to backfire. And I think to your point, I don't think the current administration is going to do anything positive for the environment, but I also don't know how effective they're going to end up being. I genuinely don't. I don't know how long they're going to actually be in power, if you will. I just don't know how long that's going to be, because they've annoyed quite a few people. So as you guys know, they've annoyed a lot of people, and there's going to be pushback to that. And I was actually listening to a podcast today about there's some murmurings within the current administration's party itself where people are waiting. There's a couple. I don't want to get too political, but I've heard that within the current administration's party, there are a couple members who are kind of waiting for the right moment to turn on the president and gauge how unpopular he's being and ready to kind of push him out at the right time. As far as politically and voting, as far as currently the Republicans are trying to appease him and appeal to him until it doesn't work for them, until it doesn't work for their offices, their base, their block, and they might kind of flip the script and distance themselves from him, but they're waiting for the right moment to do it. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen as far as that goes. But again, I'm kind of an optimist. I feel like the outcry has been very strong. And to tie it all the way back, I don't think he's going to do what Bush did as far as like a positive impact on the environment. I would love to be pleasantly surprised, but I don't think he's going to do what Bush did as far as like establishing something like the Marine Monument. But I wonder, Howard, yes, that wouldn't surprise me in the least. Yeah, I wonder if he's not going to have a chance to. And I really am skeptical he's going to make it all 4 years as an effective president. I don't think this administration is going to make it all 4 years. I think there's going to be some form of stymieing or something going on where it's just going to be reined in. So we'll see. Time will tell. But I appreciate everybody being here tonight. Yeah, but 2018 didn't help too much either, and 24 people seem to have forgotten everything. Sorry to depress y'all. No, you're good. You're good, Bibia. I mean, like, it's really not depressing as far as like we all care about just protecting the planet. We all care about science. We all care about truth. So, I appreciate this discussion and this dialogue, because it's important. I mean, and I appreciate, we're all from different nations, but we're all affirming, hey, this is all messed up. Like, and I really appreciate, just kind of affirming that bond and, that kind of united love of nature and, that love of, what's right ultimately. So, especially like for me as an American, I'm very grateful to have, like an international community and be like, I am so sorry. like I am so sorry. I don't know why they're doing this, and just to reaffirm that this is not what all Americans feel. There's a huge amount of the country that is very upset, very angry, and I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I err on the side of positivity as far as what may come of it. I think the biggest thing is, again, I think it's important to keep in mind that for conservation and for environmental policies, there's a hell of a lot to dismantle, and it takes a hell of a lot of work to go backwards, if you will, as far as like, and I know there's a lot of like, I mean, the news stories that are here, I mean, they are real and they are truly, I don't want to undermine them or like, I don't want to undervalue them. They are truly concerning for sure. But I do want to just kind of reemphasize that there's so much dismantling you have to do when you really get into the nitty gritty of like, what are our regulations? What are our policies? Like what impacts everybody's day to day, and ultimately, I mean, for example, when you think of things like energy, for example, speaking of Virginia specifically, we are just investing, and it's going to be complete soon. It's a fusion reactor plant, so super clean energy, near Richmond, and we already have these wind turbines offshore. And our current energy grid in Virginia, it kind of works with a mix of these different sources, like wind. The fusion plant, I don't think is up and running yet, but it will be soon. We do have nuclear power in Surrey, has a nuclear power plant. So we have this mix of wind energy, nuclear energy. We do have solar energy throughout the state. Some fossil fuel energy, but that's not the entire state. And actually, it's not even a dominant percentage. It's a mix. So it's kind of interesting to see that, like, yeah, there's all this, awful rhetoric and vitriol, but when you really get to a more granular level in your local communities, it's like, clean energy actually saves us money, and clean energy is better and like better for the environment, but also better for us. So actually, Hampton Roads, Port of Norfolk, became the world's first 100% clean energy port. Like all the cranes, all the things that are used to operate the port are clean, as far as like they're derived from clean energy. They're not actually using coal, which is really cool. it's not perfect because that port is a huge shipping sector, and home to the world's largest naval base, and is a huge coal exporter. So I'm not going to pretend it's a dream. It's not perfect. Far from it. But there's gains. Like, we've made gains. Which is I think is really important to always hold in mind. Especially when like a lot of bad is happening, and it's important to see it and address it, and also hold on to like a lot of good has been accomplished in the background. So I think that's my whole point whenever I kind of like when we dive into it and talk about it. I think that's my whole point, is like just keeping that good in mind. Yeah. So just to catch up on the comments, sorry, I was on the soapbox for a little bit. It is one planet. It's better to conserve nature for all of us. Sadly, there's only a few needed to do damage, which the rest of us cannot clean up. But the windmills are still going up in numbers. Yes. I wonder if I can actually... Let me see if I can airdrop this. Because this is amazing. I was very fortunate to be able to see this. This was from 2022. And the clean energy, the windmills in Virginia, there's 2 of them offshore right now, but the plan is for there to be a lot more. Okay, let's see if I can do this. I'm going to try to airdrop this to my computer so that we can play this video together. Save money is a great argument. Yes, and actually, just as, like that kind of like bottom line can be the greatest evil, it can also, in a weird way, be used positively, where it's like, if you really want to maximize your profits and really want to like, like reduce your expenditures, go green, like be clean. It actually is, it's to everybody's benefit. It's to your benefit, but it's also to the environment's benefit. So, okay, I think this is airdropping. So I do want to show you guys these windmills I'm talking about because they're pretty interesting. However, there are quite a few in Toronto. Awesome. And that's fantastic. I think that's a really promising technology. Okay, here we go. I see it. Okay, Okay, there it is. I want to make sure I'm not sharing anything. Yeah, I don't think any of this is personal, so... Alright, there we go. And I'll keep the volume down so I can share the commentary. But this was when I went to Norfolk Canyon. I've been to Norfolk Canyon twice. It's this really cool deepwater canyon off of Virginia. It's about 50 miles offshore, but this is the windmill. This thing is enormous. It's actually really scary. It's about the size of a roller coaster. That's probably the best equivalent I can or that's the best thing I can equivalent I can come up with. But yeah, look, we're getting closer and closer. It is not stopping. I think I do look up at it. It's really disorienting when you do look up at this thing because it's just so big. You can see like the stairs, like the tower that you have to climb on that platform. And actually, the surrounding area is a popular reef habitat for sea turtles. Sea turtles do love coming by the windmill because there's a lot of barnacles that have colonized the area and a lot of biofouling on the area. So it's a pretty remarkable thing. Let me see if I can actually show you guys, since this is a shark channel and since I'm here from Norfolk Canyon, I want to show you guys the scalped hammerhead I was able to see. If I can get that clip. Where is that? Where is he? Yeah, there he is. Okay. Yeah, I definitely want to show you guys the hammerhead because I think it'll be really cool. Beautiful scalped hammerhead. One of my favorite. It is actually my favorite shark encounter. And my top shark encounters have been with hammerheads in general. So it's the same one in the photograph that you see here. So let's see if I can put some life into it. I'm doing another airdrop. Hope this works. Okay, well, that is loading. Oh, okay. It's getting there. Getting there. Okay, there we go. Here we go. Alright, beautiful individual. Very excited to show this. Okay, there's his fin right there. Okay, now I'll kind of zoom out so you can see. Alright, we're coming up on him. This is it. This is a scalped hammerhead shark. Gorgeous, like probably about 11 feet long. Gorgeous individual. And like, look at the water. Like, you think of the Mid-Atlantic region, you think of like, just kind of like, murky. And actually, I just realized there's a second hammerhead in the shot. So, okay, so here's the main shot of this beautiful hammerhead, and then where is he? There's a second one. There he is. Okay, let me see if I can get him closer. I never noticed that before. There's a second hammerhead shark right here. It's hard to tell, but you can see his fin poking out a little bit. That's actually really cool. I never noticed that there were two of them. That's so exciting. So, oh my gosh, over 3 hammer. Oh, thank you. Over 3 meters. Yes, thank you. Man, and I wish the photograph could capture, like, just imagine like a vibrant bronze. This guy was gorgeous. God, I love that shark. So cool. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to skim through the rest of it because I do want to do right by the saw shark, and then I promise we'll wrap up for tonight. But let's just see if there's any notes on the biology. And there may not be, because I think this might be just measurements. This is the same photograph that we saw. This is a tropical sawshark. Same photograph as we saw from Shark References. We don't need to see the description. Oh, Sweet Hammer has a girlfriend. Yes, love that. So these are the myristics. So detailed descriptions for identifying the species. I just want to see if there's, there we go. Pristiophorus delicatus is clearly separable from other known species of Pristiophorus by a combination of morphometric characters, coloration, and size. Okay. These are going to be, yeah. I think I'm just going to skip to the, yeah, this is just a physical description. So it's not gonna talk about behavior, but I'm really grateful that there was this little nod. The barbels help them detect prey and mother Sam, while the saw-like snout is used to chase out and catching invertebrates on which they feed. So I appreciate that little nod to the saw shark's biology. So I think we'll end with a slowed down play of its cousin, the Japanese saw shark, and I will do my outro with this beautiful cousin to the tropical saw shark in the background. So, but thank you guys so much for watching for tonight's stream. Do we say delicatus or Pristiophorus or P. delicatus saw shark? So it would either be tropical saw shark or Pristiophorus delicatus. You could say P. delicatus as well. But it would be the correct way to say it internationally, the correct scientific way to say it is Pristiophorus delicatus, and then the common English name would be tropical saw shark, or the abbreviation would be P. delicatus. So it would always be the genus name then species name, or if you're talking about a genus with multiple species, you would do the genus letter and the species name. So, for example, for Carcharinus, if I was writing a shark paper on Carcharinus lucus, like the bull shark, I would say Carcharinus lucus, C. plumbeus, C. falciformis. Like if I'm talking about its cousins, like the sandbar shark and the silky shark, I would say C and then refer to the others. So that's just little like nomenclature and stuff. So. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really enjoyed tonight's stream, and I really appreciate our it's like I try to not talk about politics too much because I try to make this like a open and welcoming community. But so much has been happening in the United States that it feels really good to kind of talk with everybody, and just I feel like I feel more comfortable really just addressing the elephant in the room as far as like, yeah, the current administration's policies are really terrible and not environmentally friendly, and it feels really good to just be open with our community and just talk about that, and just kind of reaffirm like, yeah, we all of us here, we care about science, we care about nature, we care about the future of our planet, and it's a very supportive community in that way. So and these are good discussions to have. I think it's good to kind of face those challenges, with like wisdom and optimism, and just keeping in mind, the legacy that we have and what we can continue to build towards, internationally, just as far as like just having that open dialogue. So, but thank you guys so much. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Tune in next week for our new Saltail cat shark. I'm very excited for that stream. Thank you guys so much, and curious about the shark for next week. Yes, me too. I think it's going to be a really, really cool species to dive more into. But yeah, thank you guys. Cheers, and I will see you next week. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to pause that video. I will see you next week. Bye.